Tech Entrepreneurship SIG, ACE, and Stream Global. We do this once a month, every second Wednesday of the month, and we usually have one or two speakers who would share their experiences on the relevant topics to the startup community and the smaller ICT groups, and also individuals who are interested in the tech space, right? Today's topic is actually TechJobs, right? Is it the best time to hire, or is it the best time to work in the tech industry? So we will explore this with the two experts that we have today. We are indeed very lucky to have two individuals that are really passionate about the ICM industry. Maybe what I'll do is that first we have Elena. I'll talk a little about Elena and let Elena also introduce herself, right? Prior to actually starting Connect One, which is a talent solution company that partners with high growth startups and innovation ventures to build development and to develop teams. She spent many years in Procter & Gamble in roles that include HR, customer business development, and so on. Perhaps for you, what I can do is that I can pass it to Elena to talk a little bit about herself. Elena?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Chuck. Thank you for very honored to be here, making this available at my lunchtime, giving me some, a little bit of a different day today. So just a quick intro about myself. I think Chuck had already given that background, but let me start from what happened to me after I left corporate world, right? So after I left corporate world, I took some time off, and it's during this time off where I actually got to experiment and experience different things. And I got kind of got pulled into the NUS entrepreneurship program, which incidentally, I think Kenny was part of, but I guess he can share more as well. And I was pulled in more to mentor the startups, very early stage startups that were there through a friend who was running the program, as well as also to consult NUS Enterprise in terms of building a team that could further support the development of startups as they were really ramping up the accelerator program. So that was in 2013. I got really hooked into the startup ecosystem. I felt that, hey, wow, this is the future of Singapore. This is where I think there's so much energy that could really propel Singapore to a very different direction. So hence, I started a company that actually helped startup founders understand how to build an organization, a high-performing organization, even as they're building product and raising funds. I obviously didn't have money to help them with funding, and I don't have tech to help them with the product, but I had the people, I had the organization and people skills. So that's kind of how I started in this world. So fast forward 7 years, we still continue to stay true to our mission, which is really to help early stage tech startup founders. So these are pre-Series B, if you know what I mean, the different stages. And we've worked, well, obviously we're based in Singapore, but we've worked with founders, almost 100 founders across Southeast Asia. So that's a bit about me. I'm also a trained career coach. And while I don't monetize the coaching aspect of my work, it delivers a lot of purpose for me, just helping job seekers navigate their career.
Thank you so much, Elena. Thank you so much. Glad you could join us today. On the other speaker is also Kenny. We have Kenny with us today. Kenny is actually very passionate about equipping mid-career professionals with relevant skills and mindset, as well as helping them to network, right, to make a meaningful career transition into this increasingly disruptive world. And I've spoken to Kenny many times on this and how we could actually help the PMATs, right? Prior to helping the PMATs to transition their career, Kenny was also deeply involved in innovation and entrepreneur scene in Singapore and in Asia, right? Maybe I'll let Kenny talk a little bit about it and share with us what he has been doing and what he has been up to.
Yeah, thanks, Chuck. Thanks for inviting me to this platform. I've attended some tech hours before in the past. Then I never knew I would be invited to be a speaker. Now it was a payback time kind of thing. I spent many years in the tech startup world. Like Elena, I also got hooked onto the startup scene. That was in the early 2000s, like the first .com bubble, and I joined NUS Enterprise at that time. I was managing intellectual property, and Then a lot of the researchers, students, professors, they all spin off their companies. So I help them with their licensing, so on and so forth. And then it's kind of glad to see that many of those companies, of course, some fail, but some of them has really gone on to do really big stuff, companies like PetSnap and all that, they are like big time now. And I remember the founder was just a very quiet, shy introvert. You want to call it blur student, but now Jeffrey is like amazing, So things like that really motivates me to be part of the scene. Along the way, I did a mid-career switch myself to focus on career coaching because in the end, if you want to have a successful startup, it's not about the product, but I think it's about the talent as well. And a lot of the bright talents that I used to help, it's about your career as an entrepreneur. You need to manage it well as well, and you need to know why you're an entrepreneur, why you're in it, why you're in a startup, right? Because if not, then the first hurdle you hit, you're gonna quit being an entrepreneur. So I had a chance to help a lot of mid-career professionals in my last role, and now I'm still doing it on a different platform, on a different basis. Yeah, so that's where I am, helping mid-career professionals to make a switch to tech. Yeah, it's not an easy switch. You have to go through a reinvention process to get there. Yeah, so that's where I am.
Great, fantastic. Thanks again for joining us. I think today we are talking about jobs, and both of you are well qualified. Maybe perhaps, the first question I wanted to find out from you guys, right, is really what has your experience been in the tech job market, right, before and after, this COVID circuit breaker thing, right? And from Alina, from the perspective of the founders, right, and maybe perhaps from Penny's perspective, what about the PMATs? What about the guys that are looking for a job, or perhaps maybe is it that during this time some of them were displaced?
Okay, I mean, I can start with actually I was more prepared to talk about post-COVID, but let's start with COVID, right? And I will do a bit of comparison. I also share some numbers that I managed to crunch out, so that you get an idea of the impact of COVID on tech, or on jobs in tech, not tech jobs per se, but jobs in tech. So obviously for the last, the tech world has experienced a boom, like a very, very long boom. I think at least for the last 10 years. 10 years. And I think towards the end of 2019, the investment world was already talking about a tech winter. But kind of like there were some signs. If you look at what happened with WeWork, what happened, some of the larger tech companies with Uber's failed IPO and things like that. So there was already talk of a tech winter, and people were preparing for that. But it didn't hit the ground actually. In terms of jobs, companies were still hiring like crazy. They were hiring forward. They weren't even. So they were building fats or buffer in the ecosystem. But I think what happened in March was really a slam. It's really a big reality check, and I'm talking more about the early stage technology companies, more so than say the more established ones. So there was, I think, in March when COVID happened, it was a big slam. It was an awakening, and suddenly not only did the tech world stop hiring, but they went deeper. So it's time to like deep dive into the entire organization, look at some of the structure, look at some of are there fats in the ecosystem? Do we really need organization? I mean, do we really need these people? And where can we cut and trim? So I think that's kind of how the tech world has moved in terms of jobs.
Interesting.
I mean, I'm happy to share some data, but maybe later when there's a chance.
So from that perspective, Kenny, how do you see, right, on the other side?
Yeah, so frankly, our careers have to follow the direction of the market, right? when I was coaching a lot of PMETs in my last role, it was actually a private placement partner appointed by WSG, and many of the mid-career professionals have they're highly qualified. Like 2 MBAs, two PhDs, whatever. They've got very highly decorated CVs and rich experience. But but I think sometimes when your industry change, you can be caught off guard. Especially with sudden turn, right? And tech was rising, and I think nobody took notice. And then until when suddenly, it's like suddenly, sorry, no, it's like slowly, then suddenly, and then becomes status quo. So that suddenly part caught a lot of people off guard, and many of my job seekers then they're in their 40s and 50s got caught, especially those in their mid to senior management level type. So take a look at how your industry, I don't know, there are many people in this forum today, right? So you come from different background, F&B, oil and gas, whatever. So take a look at what's changing in your industry, right? And then you need to be at the forefront of that change in your industry, or the respective role that you're in, right? What's new, right? Every industry will go through digitization, and I think the government has this thing called the 23 Industry Tech Transformation Roadmaps or something. Although a little bit vague, but you can see that these are the sectors that will undergo a lot of changes. And COVID-19 just accelerates everything. So if COVID-19 accelerates everything, then you have to accelerate your career as well.
It's actually quite interesting because we're talking about in the past before COVID, right? And also, I think while I was talking to my committee of the Tech Entrepreneur SIG, they told me that the indication to me was that actually out of the 100% company, probably 20% actually experience extraordinary growth, right? And of course, one example is Zoom, right? And actually, a lot of those that are related to sort of the growth, right, is while they may not be 100% tech company, they are very related to tech. For example, all your food delivery and things like that, they're not tech, but they really depend on that. So basically, what about the post-COVID world? What do you guys see? Right, Elena?
Yeah. Actually, just putting some context, right? I think in terms of tech jobs in general, the shrinkage has been quite, I would say, really, really large, right? So we're talking about, and then I'll talk about the post-COVID. So if you're talking about large tech companies per se, the drop in hiring is between 60 to 80% drop in hiring. So these are your large tech companies like your Facebook, Google, LinkedIn, as well as your hyper growth companies like Carousel, Shopback, and Grab. So to me, these are the key verticals, right, in the tech world. So there's a drop of at least 60 to 80% across the board. And we have this list of, for the early stage companies, we have this community list that's going around, and the demand for jobs actually outweighs supply by 3 to 1. So there are 1,200 job seekers on that list versus 400 jobs in general. And these are tech companies that span across all sorts of different industries. So I think in general, there is that massive shrinking of tech jobs. And if, Chuck, you're asking where the silver lining is, indeed, yes. So the e-commerce companies, the marketplaces, the last mile delivery, communication, and anything to do with HR tech to support the future of work, which is going to be remote, likely going to be very remote down the road. Those will be the ones that are hiring. But I think the risk here is that the supply of talent is still much more than the demand, even if these sectors are going up. So alluding to PMET, so in the past it used to be, PMETs are the ones that are having difficulty with tech jobs because of the digital skill gap, right? But right now, there is a big pool of folks that have the right skills, the right whatever, startup background or tech background that are also clamoring for the same jobs. So in fact, to me, not that I want to be negative about it, folks that do not have that digital skill set or have not been in the tech or digital world will have actually an even bigger gap to fulfill. So that's my take on it.
So interesting. Looks like, yeah, so looks interesting. Looks like we are really pressing the reset button, right? In many ways, you know, that with the COVID, right? Even those that are relevant, right, may also be looking for the job that everybody else is looking for. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's interesting. I mean, there's a question that is on our chat group that asks about really your question, which is basically, you know, what if the mid-career PMET is non-technical? They are even in a more difficult position, right? But I think there must be some other silver lining. I mean, Kenny, what do you see? I mean, you've been talking to many of those who actually don't have tech skills, you know, right?
Okay, no, I'm not I cannot give magic answers. There's no magic bullet. Today, I'm also not crystal balling. If I can solve the PMET, mid-career PMET problem, then they should name me the Minister of Manpower.
Election coming.
But she also cannot solve the problem. No one can solve this problem. But what I normally share with people in my class, my partner and I, we run a monthly workshop with Skills Future funded, and it's all about career alignment, right? So I mentioned earlier that your career is really tied to the business model of your industry.
Oops, I think Kenny might have exited accidentally. So
Yeah.
let's see if he can come back.
But let me add to that, Chuck, since Kenny is coming in on roles, right? So I think when I'm referring to jobs, I'm not just referring to technical jobs or engineering jobs per se. It's like roles in tech startups. So when I did a quick analysis, actually the top two available jobs in the tech sector right now is, of course, number one, engineering, but number two is operations. So if you do not have deep engineering skills, you can still work in, I mean, operations is the number two actually in demand right now. But of course, operation covers a very wide range, right? But the only thing that's perhaps a saving grace is that it does not require deep technical skills.
I think you're absolutely right. I think there are many opportunities out there do not need engineering type of tech, right?
Yes.
A lot of them actually requires communication skills, operation skills, right? Skills that are a little bit softer, right? Skills that actually help the tech company to grow or to operate. I think those are actually possible opportunities for many teammates out there. But of course, without understanding tech, right, or the power of tech, for example, it would be tough. I mean, as I was talking to friends many years ago when I first went on Facebook, right, and many people think that Facebook is a fad, right, and now it's really part of life, right, and those guys who have not caught on to Facebook thinking it's a fad, right, they are definitely behind if you think about it. Of course, everybody will catch up at one time, you know.
Yeah.
Right, but certainly.
Sorry, got cut.
Hey, sorry, Kenny, we lost you.
Sorry, got cut. Yeah.
We were just talking while you were coming back in that, you know, actually for tech roles or non-tech roles, right, or even the tech industry, there are many roles that are actually non-engineering tech.
Yeah.
Right? There are operations, there are sales, there are business development, there are models, you know, and so on. But we were saying that you do need an understanding of tech or the power of tech, using tech to go, you know, move the business forward.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
A lot of people, you know, just like 4 or 5 years ago, one of my friends from the banking industry in the fund management space was retrenched by the bank, and I sat him down and we had a chat, and when I shared with him that actually your retrenchment comes at a good time for you because you are now forced to change, forced to learn new things. So he says that, and I told him that fintech and all that is on the rise, and you know you should give it a try. And then he says, the first thing he asked, do I need to learn coding? And that's not the first time he asked me. There are other people who ask me that also. Every time I talk to a job seeker and then I introduce him digital space, you know, startups, and they say, do I need to know how to code? Elena and I will tell you that you do not need to learn how to code. You are not going to become a coder, right? You can go and learn coding if you want, just so that you can understand how technology works, but you don't need to code to get into the tech space. I think it's more of like understanding how business models have changed and how you can contribute. The one thing good about PMETs at mid-career is that we amass 15, 20, 25 years of experience. We know how industry works, what don't work, right? Where the gaps are, right? So, and then you need to develop an entrepreneurial mindset to go and spot those opportunities and be in that space, right? If you don't have the tech, that's where you can go and partner somebody with the tech, right? And move from there. I don't have answers for the job part. I think, like Elena says, the supply. The jobs just shrink over the last year or so, and it is, you don't have, if you don't have the job, if you're applying for a job, it doesn't come through, then maybe it's time to create your own job or go and look out for someone who has that need and you go help solve the problem. If you look in the last 1, 2, 3 months, there are so many opportunities that came up within COVID-19 already. Right, you don't even need to wait for post-COVID-19 to figure out what's happening, right? So companies that are making new products, companies who used to do this product, they have to pivot and make that product, right? Young coders who couldn't find a job, they decided that, you know what, to keep my skills warm and learn new skills, I'll just build a website to connect people with hawkers, things like that. There's this bunch of guys who develop Foodla or something like that, right? To connect food. The restaurants and the drivers or something. So you can develop your own solutions and to meet the needs of today, and that will be the springboard for the post-COVID opportunity, right? Like what Albert Einstein said, the best way to predict the future is to create it, right? So the solutions that you create today, the problems you solve today, will be the opportunities for tomorrow.
And I guess to add on to it, hard skills is one. What we find most lacking, so if you look at it, engineering jobs are only 20% of all tech jobs. So hard skills, so if you think about hard skills there, it's not really the issue. I think the issue with folks that are not from the digital world or not from the tech world is really the soft skills, the language, the culture fit, the understanding of how a technology company works. What are the DNA of a technology company, and why are technology companies, right? So I think that is to us the missing part, and I think there were some questions about how do we plug these missing parts, right? It is a process, right, of understanding the technology world, at least academically. So read books about how technology companies have grown. Read books on what inspired Mark Zuckerberg to start Facebook or Jack Ma to start Alibaba. It's actually whether you're interested in technology or not, those are really interesting reads, right? So just immerse yourself in it, go for events, talk to people in the tech world and learn. You need to be excited, inspired on how technology can change the world. If you're not, then you will sound very far away from anyone that's suitable to be in the tech world, even if you have the right hard skills.
So it's actually very interesting what you say, Elena. I mean, I was working in one of my startups, and one observation I made, right, was that there are a lot of organizations, and of course, organization also equates to individuals, whom in the past has been very, very product centric, right? So I have this product, I want to sell this product, right? But if you look at the tech world today, most of the big and fast growing organizations are very consumer centric. So basically they learn about their consumer and then they provide their product around it, right? Now, this is actually a very big bridge between product centric and consumer centric. So if the PMETs come from a product world, which most likely they are, and they couldn't see, as you mentioned in your sense, from the technology standpoint, how things are changing, that's going to be very difficult, right? Because basically when they go out to interview and they talk to the guys in the newer world, it's actually very obvious that you are part of the old world thinking, right? but my view is that if, let's say, an individual, right, who can actually overcome this and understand this issue, right, they have tremendous opportunity and tremendous value to add. Because from the new organization standpoint, they know consumer, they know what consumers are like, but they do not know how to tie it to the product, right? Which is basically all the service, you know. So I think these are things that you know I've been experiencing as I talk to different individuals, that there's a disconnect, right? And there's an interesting question, right, which actually extends a little bit on this. The question was, what about the gig economy for PMETs, right? Would that be an opportunity, right? And how would that opportunity help, you know, in terms of, you know, the post-COVID world, for example, or even, you know, in the tech world, you know?
Yeah. Well, if you think about it, where it is about skill gap, right? It's about network gaps, skill gap, and experience gaps that the gig professional freelancers can come in and fill. So, give an example of a B2B company, like a software company, a SaaS company, for one. So these founders are product guys, they are tech guys. They found this product that they think can solve maybe a certain part of the banking process, right? And who are their customers? Banks. But these are all young gigs. They've never worked a day in their life, and they don't know who to call in the banking world to even get a meeting going. So there's that, what we call a network gap. They don't have the Rolodex. So guess who can fill that Rolodex? If you've been in the banking world for the longest time, or you've been selling traditional products to banks, you probably can have a few fellas that you can pick up the call and say, hey, hi, you know, kind of thing. And so I think that's where a PMET or someone experienced can fill that gap. So it's a network gap, and it is a very important gap because a B2B startup exists to bring in new customers and revenue. If they don't, they're not going to get to the next stage. So that's one gap. There are many, many other gaps that I can give an example of, but here's one gap that I typically see.
What do you think, Kenny, in terms of the gig economy?
Gig economy, yes. Gig economy is, as my own observation, is that it's not as mature as overseas market, right? But the creative sector over here in Singapore has been on gig economy for some time. You know, your photographers, video people, script writers, so on and so forth, right? They are the one that embraced gig economy some time back, although they're all hit right now. To be part of the gig economy, I think is treating. I mean, this is a normal advice which I give to job seekers, right? Treat yourself like a company, right? Manage your career like you manage a startup, a career, right? So you need to be good at what you're doing, know what products and services you're offering. You need to have your branding. People need to know you. It's no point being good, but you are nobody knows who you are. So you need to leverage on platforms like Upwork, Fiverr, LinkedIn, you name it, right? So it's gig economy is just running your own business. You are your own solo entrepreneur, right? And you work with a small team. And then lastly, then you can get paid lah. You know, you must be paid a respectable amount. So, but before you even get to get paid, you need to get good and get known, right? So, so gig economy is I think will be the future, but I think COVID is just push some gigs up, but some people will suffer like the creative economy at this point. So it's very tied to the economic situation. So so gig workers also need to have their own strong network, right? You used to get gig work from these types of companies. Then now you have to find another type of group of companies that may need your skill sets. So which is that group of companies that may need your skills at this point, right? If this don't work out, then what's plan B?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
To extend on network, there was a question, or there was a comment that says that you only get jobs through your own network that you have, right? Which I think is actually very, very true, because the one reason why I think people could get jobs is because they actually expand their network, right? So people, you know, will hire you if they know you, right? If you're a person A who has been highly recommended by some individual, and person B who just writes in, right? Unfortunately there will be biases, right? Because the higher perceive that they have more information, right? So those are things I think which I think one of the reasons why we are having sessions like this is also to help network, right? Help people pull together, right? The issue I have with gig economy, right, is that a lot of the PMAX require a very steady income, right? And they are afraid that by going to gig, there's a variation, right? But I think, you know, if you can manage that and you're actually diligent, I mean, going to gig means you need to do two things, you know, instead of one. Last time you only need to do one skill, and the skill you get hired, right? In gig economy, you got to do that skill plus marketing yourself, right? So it's two skills that require in gig. So you cannot just say that, oh, I go gig and then, you know, I'm very good, but you don't market yourself, nobody knows, right? So those are the issues on I think on gig economy. I think I get a lot of, I won't be able to answer all questions. I think some of the questions that came up are really, people are concerned that they are in their mid, maybe like what Kenny mentioned, in their mid 40, mid 50, right? And they are worried about competing with the younger people. I think age, in one sense, is in the mind, right? Because when I go out and I talk to my startup, right, if they can afford me, my startup wants to hire me, because I add value, right, to them. So I think the question is really, are we on the same value proposition on both sides, you know? And of course, the question is also how much, right, your value is worth and how much they can afford to pay, right? So I think while generally I agree that, you know, there are a lot of perception that people will hire younger people because they are more on, they are more, you know, speak the new lingo, blah, 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 whatever it is. But I think there is value for the guys with experience, right? I mean, you guys have any comments on that?
Can I give some examples to boost the confidence here, especially with gig? And these are things that happened in the last 2 months. So in fact, he appeared in Straits Times because Straits Times approached me to talk about professional gigs, and I actually pushed this guy forward, and he appeared like half a page. I can share that with you guys. So he is 48 years old, or maybe 49 or so, late 40s. He's got a very varied career in telco, one of the oldest career. I'm sure many of you came from that space. Maybe project management, operations, and he has a finance background. So he's a trained accountant. He's like a CFO of sorts. But when I met him, I found that, oh, actually he's quite interesting. Like he may be CFO, but actually he is also very passionate about operations. He can string things together. And still pretty young at heart. So I actually got him to speak to an early stage founder who needed an adult in the room, like a COO, you know, to sort of like herd the young people together, make sure that they, you know, it's like how I would say an adult in the room, basically. And so he joined this company, and he's been there for he's been there for maybe 9 months already, and so there is actually a lot of value in all of you. You just need to be very confident, like Kenny said. Know what your brand is, know what value you can bring, and you know, hopefully expand that network so that you're able to engage with enough people that can see that, you know. So in fact, there's been few examples as well. I've got someone who's 55 years old. He's got pretty good product marketing experience, but you know, maybe a bit more tech, that joined a Series A med tech company to be their interim. So this is a gig job as an interim chief product officer. You know, so there are all of you have got, you know, some kind of skill or value, you know, for sure.
All right, I'm going to pick up on where Elena left off. I'm going to share with you two things, and that should hopefully address most of the questions I see in the chat with regards to PMET, ageism and all that, right? We cannot control, first of all, we cannot control what we cannot control. If they want to discriminate against 40 plus, 50 plus, so be it. Go look for an employer that will look past your age, that see the value that you bring instead of your age. So I'm going to share with you some real examples. But first of all, the first thing I want to share with you is there's this book, I think Elena knows because I gave her that book. It's called Wisdom at Work. It talks about Chip Conley, who is a well-known entrepreneur in the hospitality industry. that at the age of 50, after running his hotels, he's quite famous. He runs his chain of hotels in California for 26 years, sold it, and then he's wondering, hey, I'm 50 years old, 51, what am I going to do next? And before long, Airbnb called him up and say, why don't you come in? It's very similar to what Elena says, you need an adult in the room. So Airbnb, in the year 2012, they're all a bunch of youngsters below 30, right? And so this guy, Chip, went in, and then he's like, what? Everybody in the company is half his age or less, right? And he's saying, what is this guy, what am I doing here, right? So, but then that's where he's quickly realized that the value he brings to the table is to how to shape the company's strategy, right? To share with them all his 26 years of industry insights, what to do, what not to do, the regulations, the ins and outs of it, right? But when he went for the meeting, he completely don't understand any of the technology jargon that they use. And so much so that one of the young employees, who was quite bold, went up to him and said, dear Mr. Conley, I couldn't believe it, but how could someone like you be so wise, but yet so clueless at the same time, right? So, but that's when I realized that, yeah, I'm completely clueless. That's where I'm here to learn from you. I give you what I know, and you teach me what I don't know, right? And in the book, he summarizes one very important point, and I think he brought up the issue of Uber in US, how, when it's run by a bunch of young people who are not in a position to make those very complex decisions, and you sort of screw up the company, right? In Singapore, also got a few cases I won't mention, right? Everyone is young, but they are like conquering 5 markets at one time in Southeast Asia, and then you don't know how to run a 100-man company, a 200-man company. You're put in a position of authority too young, and you kind of screw up. And so you need like the adult in the room. So Chip Conley made the point that it's not about young company will succeed or companies with old people will succeed. He says when a company wants to make new product and want to sustain and grow and thrive, you need both the young and the old to synergize, collaborate, to create that product, the business model, and then bring the company much higher up the level. So, so find people that will appreciate. You'll be surprised that younger startup founders actually do need you, right?
Yep.
The older PMETs to help them. But it's just that maybe the way you talk, you need more EQ lah, right? So you need more, learn from their jargon. I got one. Okay, so let me share with you 3-4 examples very quickly. One of my job seekers, Joseph, he should be 55 by now. So 3 years ago, when he was 52, he came to me, and he was out of job for a couple of years, and he was from overseas, came back from China. And I told him, what is he passionate about? And he says, I'm passionate about 3D printing. I said, okay, great. And I said, why? He said, because that's the way of the future. I said, great. So at least you identify your target. And so I said, what are you doing with that passion? So he says, yes, every day I go to Block 71. I hang around with the community there. I take up some courses. He took the AutoCAD, Autodesk 3D certification or something like that. And then he networked with the people in Block 71. So in order for me to test him, because I was from Block 71, right? And I'm in the startup scene. So I asked him, oh, really? So who do you know and meet in Block 71? So he said, Chuck. So he said he also knows Chuck, and he knows a few people. So when he named those names and what he has been involved with, then I'm like, yeah, okay. So I think legit, like you walk the talk, right? So long story short, he managed to get a job in one of his distant relatives' company that do smart factory. So he's trying to do some 3D printing stuff there. I'm not sure, I haven't catch up with him some years, but he managed to get his job opportunity. Second one, let's talk about age, right? So a couple of you mentioned about age. I got 2 examples. When I was in my previous company, I have 2 job seekers. One I don't know because I left already, and then this one I heard about that. These 2 job seekers were hired by my wife. My wife works for an Australian company, right? And my wife looked past age. So the first job seeker, he's a PR, and when he came to me, we discussed a lot of stuff, and then he has both private sector and public sector experience, and he's a programmer, right? But he's learning new skills because his programming skills are a little bit outdated. And I asked him what he's been doing. So he's been saying, I've been consistently learning new things. And so I said, okay. And then this guy is very, very approachable, very friendly, very coachable, creates good rapport, and very consistent in coming to see me. And so I'm quite comfortable with him, right? I mean, in the end, you help people that you like, right? And you also hire people that you like and trust. So I took his CV together with some other CVs. I forwarded to my wife and said, I heard you're hiring, so why don't you take a look at the CVs? So she looked at it. She interviewed some of them, including my coachee, and within 5 days, she made the decision to hire this person, right? And I was quite surprised because she did mention to me that, hey, the skill sets you said were not right, eh? How come you hire this person? And she told me, skill sets can pick up very easily, but attitude cannot. And so this guy has got good attitude. When I interview him, ask him, when you're faced with this situation, what will you do? What is going through the process in your mind? When you encounter this, what will you do? When someone comes to you and tell you this problem, what will you respond? So she find that, hey, this guy knows how to fix the problem, solve the problem, So in the end, she hired him, right? He's right now should be 41, 42, right? And long story short, he's with the company for 2 years already. And the third one, same. My wife hired a 63-year-old project manager, IT background, right? He was out of work for 2-3 years as well. And my wife looked at it, same thing, apply the same method, test the person, he got the job, right? He's 62, 63, right? And actually he's semi-retired, but he needed a job. So he got good background and attitude, so he got hired, and he's with the company for about 1.5 years, right? So it's possible to go and find. So it's values, right? It's about values, about the company founder. I unfortunately I do meet with startups that I think Elena also know. They tell me that please don't give me anyone above 35. So I was very upset with that. But the company today no longer around now. Okay, so that's why, man, read the book Wisdom at Work, please. Oh, and okay, last one, talking about freelancer, right? One of my ex-colleagues from NUS, for 22 years, she's a freelancer. She started doing PR for our department, right? From writing PR articles until, before COVID, right? Last year, she's still doing the very big event called Innovate. InnoFest, right? If you heard of InnoFest, it's a very big event, right? So she's been a freelancer since the day I stepped into NUS until today, 22 years, right? So if she can, and of course, she picked the right sector to be a freelancer in the tech sector, at the innovation forefront and all that. So my advice to you guys, be always at the forefront of change, be at the forefront of innovation. There's less competition there, right? I spoke to one of the senior programmers just 2 weeks ago, and pick something new to learn that nobody has, right? Because companies will come after you ultimately. If you're doing just web development and all that, right? There's too many as commodity. Like everybody do web development, right? So pick something new to learn and master it. Okay, that's all I have to say. Sorry I take up your time.
Great. So we are running out of time. So what I'll do is let me do a quick summary. I think in terms of post-COVID, Elena shared that there are actually spots there are opportunity of hiring in the distribution, e-commerce, and logistic area. And from Kenny's standpoint, actually, it's all about attitude and mindset, right? If you really want to go to a tech job, whether you are young or old, I think those will apply. Perhaps maybe if you are younger, you don't have a preset idea, right? Then your mindset can change easier. But I think by and large, I think the mindset attitude is actually very critically important. With that, I'd like to thank Elena and Kenny. Right, it has been really a frank conversation. I think both Elena and Kenny actually has hit many spots right on the dot, right? And it also generated a lot of questions, right? And we weren't able to answer all, but I think you got the gist of it all, right? So I think thank you so much. Join us again in next month, right? We will figure out what a topic to discuss, and then we will share it on the internet, and I hope to see you guys. Hey guys, thank you so much, and have a great day ahead.
Is that Q&A?
Sorry?
Is that Q&A, or people can stay back and ask questions?
Yeah, maybe Elena might have to go, right?
Okay.
I think if let's say Kenny, if you could stay on a while, we could ask some questions.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks a lot, Elena. Really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Stay on as long as Chuck buys me lunch.
Virtual lunch.
Virtual lunch. Okay, so for any one of you who wants to ask Chuck and me more questions, please feel free to ask. I think I'll stay on for another 10 minutes, 15 minutes if you guys have any questions. If not, then we can end the session. So just unmute yourself and just identify, and then just start asking.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kenny, right?
Hi,
Yes.
you are?
Right. Yeah, I'm Kevin here. I'm just asking the people in our age group, PNET, the PT. I recently saw a government initiative about the CAF, IMPA, the golf pack. I think the accelerator job. Yeah, I applied and they also advertise in the Facebook, social media, I think in LinkedIn also. But there's no news from them. I don't know whether they will accept us people in our age group, no? People in career transition or want to move from one industry to another industry.
You
Yeah,
are
so
sorry,
we won't be able to answer specific questions, right? Because you applied to IMDA. I'm not sure why they have not replied, but perhaps you might want to chase them again. I don't know what is the criteria and what scheme that is.
Yeah, even there's
Maybe
a lot of those people, a lot of my colleagues are in their 50s, they cannot be trained or whatever. For example, especially this COVID city times. I applied for just 10 jobs also, teacher, ambassador, yeah, I send our resume. There's no news for them to even shortlist for interview, or even just swab tester. They say you are this age group, you are very vulnerable. We need the job, the income to tie us over, especially those we have financial commitment for mortgage loan. But now we really at our age, people in our late 50s or early 60s will still face age discrimination.
okay, so yeah, so I can't answer that. I don't know why you don't get your reply back. But just know that I was in civil service before. The response to get back to you is very slow, right? Some of my friends who took 6 months before he gets a reply, so it was really terrible. So 6 months to reply applicant is really really bad. So actually, I wouldn't apply to the government sector. I'm from there 3 times, 4 times. So but that said, they have new schemes that talks about equipping. I think I just saw 4 days ago, 5 days ago, Straits Times reported that they're going to have 5,500 jobs created over the 2-3 years, right? To equip people with digital skills in the area of cybersecurity, data analytics, and all that. But the thing is, while all these hot jobs are going to be appearing, I mean, I don't know whether there'll be 5,500. I'll take it a pinch of salt. I mean, I was from there, it'll be nice if really 5,500 quality jobs. Okay, I do not know how good those jobs are, but the thing is, you see, the thing is, I'm not trying to fault the government or anything, but Jack and I, we lived through the days where the government is always actively pushing sectors. In the early 2000s, it's startups, ICT, and all that, and then the SARS came, everything fell down. Then in 2005, 2006, it was biomedical, and then the government just pushed biomedical, and then you see Philip Yu on Straits Times saying that he's going back to life science classes, because they want to push more biomedical professionals into that area because it's growing. And then the tech sector is back again in 2009, 2010, 11. So and it went out. So the thing is, while all these emerging sectors are good, but you ask yourself, do you like to be part of that sector? Because it has to align with your interests, your values, and what you want to do, right? So it doesn't mean it's hot you buy, right? Don't follow the herd mentality. Like, it's just like buying property, right? Wow, good. Everybody buy this condo, you also buy. So you also go. Then later on, doesn't work out for you, you regret. So so if you want to look at the hot areas, be sure that you are going to be committed to it for the next 5, 10, 15 years of your productive career days. So don't pick something because it's hot or because the government says so, right? You pick something because you really like solving problem in that area, right? So that one you have to ask yourself lah. Anyone else have something to share?
Thanks, Kenny. Thanks, Kevin.
Hi, I'll share something here. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Hi, this is TechHour. So I run my own company, and I used to hire a lot of interns. I just want to share with some of the people here who are looking for jobs and all that. When I spoke to my interns when they graduated, I asked them how many CVs they sent out. It's ranging between 200 to 1,000. I don't know whether it's 1,000, but definitely 200 to 500 CVs before they get a job. So let's say with some of you who are looking for jobs, and if you think that you submit one to a government department and you think that there will be some reply to come back, the comparison in terms of the hunger compared to all these young people, especially the foreigners, you have to watch. They are really your competition. So as a person who hires workers, whether it's experienced or young graduates, we also look at how a person is eager to take up the job. Maybe this is something that you also have to watch out, because on the other side, the employer who is hiring will be looking at that as well. Yeah, just a thought to share.
Anyone have other questions, burning questions?
Hey, hi, this is Carl. Can you hear me?
Hi,
Hey
Carl.
Carl, how are
Hey,
you?
hi, Kenny. Hey, Chuck. Hi, how are you? Yeah, thanks
All right.
very much for your guys' update. It's really great insight. I just have a questions on the if like my wife, like is now a senior teacher, right? For her, which is like not really, very good in teaching, but not so good in tech, right? If she were to switch to the tech job, what would you advise? Which are the areas that she should be looking at?
Sorry, you're saying that she's a teacher and she wants to switch.
Yeah, I mean, she's thinking of retired from teaching, right? So when she retired, given that she's still fairly active, so I'm just thinking aloud how to make her, less restless, right? So would there be some sort of tech job that, that you think, will be suitable for, ex-primary teacher?
She's an ex-primary school teacher.
Not yet. She's still teaching, so don't tell her. Yeah, I'm just thinking ahead. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I think the important thing is ask why the transition, why the switch, because if the why is not strong enough, you won't get far. So, I mean, I was just listening to Simon Sinek just 2 days ago together with John Maxwell, and Simon Sinek is famous for his TED video called Why, the Golden Circle, right? Why, everything starts with why. So you have to know why you want to switch to a tech job. At mid-career stage, it's not really about a job anymore. It's really about making an impact, being significant, contributing back to the next generation. It's not so much. In fact, I spoke to a lot of people who make successful career switch to whatever, don't have to be tech, They make successful career switch. It's not because they want to climb the corporate ladder and get more bonus or get more increment in pay, but it's because they really wanted to contribute and they really want to build something for the second half, leave a legacy, so on and so forth. So, so I think the why has been important. And if you do want to switch into tech and use your background in teaching, then maybe edu-tech will be good, because online learning, is going to be the way to go, like it or not, right? So the question is also, are you savvy with tech? Do you know basic computer skills? I have to give this example. My wife and a friend took a computer class on e-commerce last year, and in the class is all mid-career people, and 50 of them are in the class learning how to go online and sell products, so on and so forth. And my wife is pretty savvy with IT because she's an IT professional, but her friend and the other people in class, they don't know the basics of IT. They can't even catch up with what the instructor is teaching. Here, they are teaching how to sell products online, so on and so forth. But the struggle is she noticed people around her, they can't even download and cut and paste an image and then upload again, right?
Yeah. So again, other than the why, right?
Yeah.
You guys really have to understand what is the skill gap, right? So if you want to do a transition from one job to another, let alone one career to another, right? You really need to understand where your strengths and where the skill gap is, right? For the IT industry, right, the Computer Society is building a system that allows you to actually look at and ascertain where the skill gaps are. So for example, if you are a project manager, you want to be a senior project manager, right? So what are those skills required to be in different roles that you are playing? So I think the more than just why, you also have to understand, you know, practically where the skills are, you know, right, before you actually make the jump. So it's not an easy question, and I don't think we have a straight answer, you know, so to speak.
Yeah. I mean, the reason I asked is also, you know, I mean, I'm in the IT, so it's kind of, you know, with this COVID-19, everything is accelerated. So even for our folks in IT, we know everything has to be, you know, instantaneous, almost real time, right? So for teachers, they are, you know, they used to be like, you know, if I'm not strong in IT, it's fine, right? I just focus on teaching. But now with this, you know, teaching from home, the whole digitization in the education is like accelerated. You know, the P and the VP will tell the teacher, you know, we're going to upload this file today. You're going to do video, you know, teaching today. You're going to do everything is today, right? So that is something, you know, I can see she like, you know, kind of struggling to say, wow, everything is now, you know, have to be real time. I got to be, you know, immediate. I got to upload the file, and then I got to start tracking all the parents. You know, everything is digitized, right? So I think they are not given enough time to really catch up. You know, so if given enough time, I'm quite sure my wife is okay. She's not that, you know, IT dummy, but she's, you know, not really into IT, but she's, you know, been with us and, you know, with my kids and myself. So we are pretty IT savvy, but for her, we can see like, okay, you know, so she's thinking like, do I need to stay on? Do I need to do something else? You see? So that's where I'm just leading to my earlier question.
Really, you know, for people even like myself and everything else, we all have to continuously to learn. So for example, like today, right, we are broadcasting over Zoom, right? And suddenly someone tells me that, hey, you know, we might hit our maximum ceiling, you know. So 5 minutes before 12 o'clock, we experimented on actually broadcasting it on Facebook Live, which we have never done before, right? So now we are on Facebook Live, you know, but we have to really learn on the spot, and you're absolutely right. Some of us have a natural propensity, some of us don't, right? But I think if that's the case, that we really need to figure out, hey, what is the things that we need to start to sort of have some skills in now. And I hope, and I think going to the future, right, tech is going to be part of life, right? Like for example, you know, I can imagine my great grandmother probably have difficulty switching on the television and change channel, right? Or you know, or my mother-in-law, right, in her 80s and always complain that she doesn't want to use the computer and so on, right? And suddenly my kids are all abroad studying, and she's now expert in WhatsApp video, you know, right? So those are from the perspective, you know, if there's a need and there is a demand and there is a propensity to learn, people will do it. Right? The question then is, like you said, you know, brings back to Kenny, why? The question of why.
The crisis reveals our gaps, right? So the crisis reveals where our skill gaps are. So, you know, a lot of tuition centers are caught off guard. You know, my son's English teacher runs a small one-woman show English tuition center, you know, in one of the shopping malls, and she says, I don't know how to use Zoom. So my wife said, okay, never mind, you call me, I will teach you how to use Zoom, right? So for all of you IT professionals, if you happen to be IT professionals, okay, I got 2 pieces of advice for 2 different groups of people. One, if you're IT professional in this group and you can't find a job, go and help someone with their IT problems, or go and represent a solution and then help sell it, right, to people who don't know it, because they need your help to implement that solution in their company, right? My friend runs a F&B restaurant, right, and he struggles. You know, I don't know how to go. What normally take 1 hour for a savvy person to get all his business online, you know, 1 hour, he take 10 hours, right? So if you can go to someone and say, I'm a little bit more savvy on the internet, let me help you upload your pictures, help you to set up the website, so on and so forth. Cut down your time from 10 hours to 1 hour, I'll do it for you, right? You want to pay me, don't pay me, refer me to a job or something like that, right? Keep your skills warm, learn something new, right? If you're a non-technical person, go and learn something and immediately apply that new knowledge onto a project or to somebody, right? So learn something new learn something new and then immediately go help someone with that problem. That is your practical experience, which hiring managers would want to look at, right? If you cannot implement, then at least learn those skills and create your own little project so that you can showcase. That's very important. If you learn Python 101 or something like that, people are not interested in the certificate that you get in the end. People want to know that what have you done with your Python 101? Can you maybe join some competition online and then, test yourself, see how good you are. Your test results can also prove, right? Or you build a project, right? There's a bunch of programmers from UK, right? They developed a website called How Much Toilet Paper. I think that one made the rounds in Singapore also, right? They were just doing some project for fun. How much toilet paper to buy and to use, right? So it calculates everything, right? Because it was in response to all the toilet paper hoarding, right? And then lo and behold, within a few days, it went viral and hundreds of thousands of people use his thing. And I don't think they even intend to monetize, but it was just to showcase their skill set, right? So you need, if you are a technical person, you need to showcase your skill set, all right? Anyone else?
Any other questions? If not, I think we'll call it a day, right?
All right.
Hey, Kenny, thanks again, man. Really appreciate your time.
Thanks so much.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Right.
Yep,
Thank
have
you,
a good day.
everybody.
Yep.
See you guys. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye.